Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Observable Flutter. My name is Craig Lebenz, and I'm your host. And today, I didn't have a topic, but I am really busy at work. And I also wanted to stream, so I figured, why don't I just do my job and stream and hang out and chat with everybody? I don't know if this is going to be a good idea. I don't know if anyone's going to find it entertaining. We may look back on this collectively, you all and I, as having been a terrible mistake. But we're going to find out by experiment. And also, the thing that I'm working on right now is a big demo for Cloud Next and then eventually I/O. So it's kind of interesting. If I was just responding to emails, then this would definitely be a bad idea. But I think it may be fun. So we'll find out together. Don't be shy about telling me if this is unfun. All right. Let's commence with the pleasantries. Folks, do recall, this is the Flutter community, and we hold ourselves to a high standard. So I will see you at that standard. All right, there's no guest today. I don't have any other buttons to press. This is really exciting. All right, as I mentioned, I have been working a lot on a demo that will be at Cloud Next in Las Vegas in late April. And then it will be at Google I/O in Mountain View in late May, I believe is when I/O is. And so if you are at any of those events, you are going to see this demo, and then you'll be like, haha, I saw when that was incomplete and really buggy. And hopefully it won't still be buggy when you see it at those events. Because if it is, you'll know who to blame. Which I'm now realizing I'm publicly outing myself for all the problems this has. Could have the problems. I was distracted by reading this. Flutter's promoting 20 apps in 20 days with anti-gravity. Yeah, a teammate, Kevin, wrote that article, and it is a pretty cool thing. A lot of cool ideas, a lot of great execution, a lot of learning. And I'd be curious how folks have found that article, just how folks have found that exercise. Was it inspiring? Was it interesting? I thought it was very cool. All right. So let's figure out how to begin here. I think what will make sense is to walk folks through what exists from a UI perspective, and then maybe we can do a little walkthrough of some code. Excuse me. And then we will write some code. How about that? A little 3-step plan. Not a 2-step, but a 3-step. And I'm closing Windows so that I can do the aforementioned plan. There are many unnecessary windows. All right. OBS, that doesn't need to be on the screen. Anyone want to see an infinity mirror? Where is the window with the running app? You'd think one day I would learn to prepare these things before clicking the Go Live button. But I have a smooth brain. There's no wrinkles anywhere to be found. And that is the problem. Okay, so I apparently left the running app last night just sitting on a giant red screen with an out of bounds error, like an index error. So I don't know. We're coming in the middle of open heart surgery here, folks. So we're gonna have to grade this initial demo here on a curve, you see. All right, here we go. Where'd this go? Come back, you go here. This one goes here, that one goes there. Pop quiz. Where is that line from? This one goes here, that one goes there. Someone will know. I have faith. All right, reading some of these here chats. Yeah, I'll write it. We'll do it live. Oh, that was also a very funny moment. Okay. There's some odd chats in the chat today. Yeah. I am okay. I don't know if you were asking me a little bit here. Oh, this is valuable. Can you lower the gain on your mic a little bit? Audio's clipping. Okay, I can do that. I have just lowered it a pinch. Please do continue to share things like you sound terrible. You could also share things like you look terrible, you smell terrible, you are terrible. Any of these are acceptable and actionable categories of feedback. All right, so first of all, let's walk through it first. This is just Widgetbook. I have really this is my most serious use of Widgetbook, even though I haven't put like all of the things in here. But oh my gosh, I have just had the best time using this to prove to myself that things actually work and render the way I want, and that they're responsive in the way that I expect. And Lucas of Widgetbook doesn't know that I'm gushing about Widgetbook right now. I haven't been paid. Could you imagine, for this endorsement? But oh my goodness, it is just the best. All right. So the concept of this demo, this is what you're going to see if you attend either of those events. You would also have to physically appear at the demo location. So there's multiple requirements, but if you satisfy them all, you will see this thing called, I actually don't know if it's still going to be called Gen Latte. That's what it's called right now. And the idea is summarized on this introduction screen. So first of all, you will customize customize your latte. That's just like pick your milk and do you want any sugar in it. Then you customize your latte art. And this amounts to going through an experience with Nano Banana to generate an image of your happy place. And then you pick up your drink at the barista station and they use a latte printer to print the image on your drink. The baristas, talented as they are, will probably not be able to make your random image by doing the little jiggle that they do when they put a flower in your art or in your latte. It's kind of more of a fern leaf, actually. So anyway, this is the first screen of the demo. And then you move on to the second screen and you put in an order for your name. So I'll put Observable Flutter. And the state of development right now is that this actually should go to Firebase. But I don't know what we're going to work on today. Maybe we'll spend time doing data communication. Maybe we'll work on some more layout polish. Probably take requests from you all or suggestions. So once you have a name for your order, then I see here, right? So I could already specify name here. Hello, Observable Flutter, it should say. What kind of milk latte? What kind of milk would you like for your latte? Okay, so I'll take whole milk, and I want no sugar, of course. I'm a serious person. And then we get to describing your happy place. And this screen, I think, also communicates with Firebase, but then everything after this is dummy data and will probably break because I've been in the middle of converting it to real data. So that's lamentable. Oh yeah, it will definitely break. I remember what I ended working on yesterday. I'm a smart person. So you describe your happy place. So this would be, the mountains on a nice day or some such. And then we get here, and yeah, this was the error because the images don't exist because I unplugged the hard-coded images that I have. Noe of the Firebase team is working on a lot of the back-end stuff, and so he's developing the functions, and we'll actually talk to Nano Banana and all of those fun things. So this is as far as we can go in the demo now. There's a couple more screens, but you've kind of already got the gist of it. I'm going to read a couple of the old chats here. Make sure I'm not missing nothing. Left some debugging for later to join us. Well, get ready for some debugging here. As you can see, giant red screen doesn't look very good. No, does it? Curious how to use Dart to complete backend tasks. Well, there's a lot of ways to do that. Obviously, one is ServerPod, which is my I love Postgres, so I love ServerPod. There's also obviously Firebase, and we're working on some Dart support for Firebase functions, so stay tuned for that. That's going to make that a lot better. Am I high with Flutter? Woke up feeling pretty good this morning. I think I'm just high on the old good night's sleep. You know what I mean? Let's see. According to me, well, as previously mentioned, I have a very smooth brain. So take this with a salt cube. What's the future of Flutter development like? With AI, is it going to take over manual development? If I knew the answer to that. Oh my. Whoo, that is the quintillion-dollar question. Actually, I'm just as clueless as everybody else. That you are asking the right question, though. That is for sure. Oh, thanks. This is a sweatshirt that was originally for GDEs, but I wanted one. And so I commissioned one that doesn't say GDE on the shoulder like it says for GDEs. Because I am not a GDE. All right, continuing to scroll down. Let anti-gravity try to solve the red screen using. So it would have a tall order because I'm in the middle of an entire data refactor process that will. I mean, we could try. Could see how far anti-gravity can get. I would have a lot of explaining to do because I have a vision that it doesn't know about yet. Maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe it could piece it together. All right. So, all right, let's look at some code a little bit so that folks can have a modicum of orientation as we write more code. So this is not a public repo, but we're probably going to open source this code for I/O. I don't think it will be open sourced by next. So this is a sneak preview of some code that's not exciting anyway. So please, nobody, text your mom and brag about this sneak preview that you're getting. All right. It's a mono repo, of course, as is tradition. And there's a couple, what is this? Functions folder. Nothing. Great. Okay. This is super valuable. Oh, Cloud Run functions. Oh, yeah, I think this is from the template that we got. Okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. So the relevant folders here are Firebase, GenLatte Data, and GenLatte UI. GenLatte Data is just some shared classes. There's very little in here. That's fine. They're also not even shared yet because the Dart support for these functions on Firebase isn't even ready enough yet. So right now the functions are still in Node. They will eventually be in Dart, and then these classes will in fact be shared on the server, but we're not there yet. The Dart support's coming in too hot for this demo currently. So in functions, in Firebase functions, there's still some Node things, TypeScript, blah, blah, blah for those. Hopefully by I/O, this is all Dart code, and that will be awesome. With, trigger functions and HTTP and callable and all the things. So then there's GenLatte UI, which has the majority of the code. And I was talking a couple streams ago about the way that I kind of try to approach app development. And it was going to be a language flashcard app. And I just dove right in with Gemini and anti-gravity with no planning and, didn't have a sufficiently long spec kind of imagination period. And so it was just wanton and aimless, and it was a total failure. And I thought in the future, I want to actually kind of show how I stitch together serious apps. And the downside of that idea is that it's kind of not necessarily very fast, and you could fill a couple streams and just kind of get all the plumbing stitched together. But the upside of looking at this code base is I've already done that, and we can skip a lot of the either typing to Gemini, typing to anti-gravity for it to do it, or just typing it out myself. All right, so what what is the right way to go about this? Probably currently to pause and read a little old chat here. Reading what some folks are saying. Yeah, it is my turn to debug. That is true. I think I'll probably dive in by attacking that red screen. I think that'll make sense. Yeah, true Flutter development for sure. All right, why not assign a task to fix the issue until you are, and then like reply to comments during, I guess. All right, we could try that. We can try. As you can see, I've got a clean git state here, which is actually surprising that I committed a giant error. I think actually now that I'm thinking about that, I knew I was doing that last night. Nobody's perfect. I wonder how separating material theme from core UI is going. Oh, it's going pretty well. It is going well. And we can all be excited about it. Gemini, decent job reviewing Flutter code. Start there, understand why it's complaining. Oh, I missed what that was about. I'm transitioning over to lead Flutter dev, and I have to take over code review role from now on. I'm facing so many issues. How do I start and get better one step at a time? Yeah, if you're the lead Flutter developer and reviewing Flutter code is feeling intimidating to you, I think leaning on AI to kind of teach you patterns is a good idea. That's probably your highest velocity ramp up that you can get. It's a good tip from Randall. Okay, cool. I'm caught up. Hey, Dean. Howdy. So let's look at the red screen. So kiosk home view. So this is the main widget to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them. And it is a wizard. So there's this build step function, and that takes some state from a block, which you can see right here using the old kiosk home block state, blockity block state block shenanigans. And the error that we're getting, so first we've got the intro screen. It's kind of using the old switch statement, always fun. If we're on the intro, you get that screen, blah, 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 blah. And then we saw the name screen in action. We saw milk and sweetener, and here's all of the shenanigans to communicate with the server. And we saw happy place. That's where I typed in like mountains on a nice day or whatever it was. And then we've got choose an image. And this screen is in the middle of open heart surgery. And so it is struggling. So let's look at where this error was in code. And I'll bring over the old errorino. And what are you talking about? Yeah. So the index is out of error. It was thrown during layout builder. That's good. Choose an image. So I think the problem is that there are no images. It's probably that it's an empty list. And because the list used to be hard-coded, I wasn't thinking about the empty list. That's probably as simple as the problem is. But I'm actually not really seeing the line of I'm not really seeing the line of code. I guess it's on 308 of choose an image. So let's check that out. Choose an image on line 308. Huh. Oh, yeah. Oh, but this is in a loop over. Oh, right. Yeah. So I calculate the positions of where the images are supposed to render, and then I loop over the calculated positions, not the images themselves. I think I was imagining that if there were no images, I would take care of that earlier. So let's do that. Build latte art images. So this is in a layout provider. Oh, this is a very interesting widget that I've cooked up, the layout provider. And I'm interested in talking to folks about this. We'll get to that at some point today. Okay, so in build latte art images, this is where I think I'm just, for now, oh yeah, actually commissioned an empty state asset from this for like a Rive asset from a contractor, this kind of design creative company that Google works with all the time. So I'm excited to use that, but I don't have it yet because they're still working on it. So I think I'll say here, if state, oh, what parameters do we have? Surely I didn't pass in the whole state. Yeah, so just images, and images is a list. Great. Also, this whole data structure is going to change. This is going to become a list batch, or what did I call it? Oh boy. Oh yeah, a latte image batch. This is the new data structure. So it's not a list. Oops. There we go. That's great. And we'll call this image batch, I guess, make it a little more clear. Because one thing I always say, if you call this images, what I was going to say is what I hate is when you say like images.images, and I was thinking if these were all stored in a list called images, but they're just image 1, 2, 3, 4, because it is a very distinct fixed number of images. Oh, you know what? I wonder if I will want this to be a list just so I can iterate over it more easily. Yeah, I will, won't I? Maybe I'll have, I think I'll just add an iterator. Iterator, latte image. What did you write? What is this? Iterator, oh, nullable, yeah. Cool. And we'll just call this images. Iterates over all images. Okay, whatever. Excuse me. All right, so what I don't want is images.images. So this will be the batch, but I do want to be able to loop over them. And now we'll say, so the batch itself should also be nullable. And then these will each be nullable because they're going to come in on their own as NanoBanana finishes them, and we finish server-side processing of them to like downscale them and whatnot. So I'm just thinking here, will the latte image batch ever be nullable at the, I don't think it should be nullable. All right, so you're going to be not nullable. So it'll just be, in our guard statement, we'll say if, okay, do I want this? Sure. I think I know. I'll just say images. Yeah, we'll do what it said. That was good. Yeah, we'll do that. Can I have that recommendation again? Okay, there we go. That's good. That's good. Can I get the next one? All right. Oh, what's the problem here? Isn't defined. Oh, wait, you can't just toList on an iterator? What? Oh, you know what? I really, because these are going to come in one at a time, I actually, this isn't going to work at all. This is just not going to work. What I need to do is in this spot where, all right, so I do want to, I think, why is final images? Yeah, so I don't want this images in empty check. But what's the deal here? toList not defined for type iterator. All right, you know what? I'll just get rid of the iterator. There's 4 things here. It doesn't matter to iterate over them. This will just be a list. Is it iterable? Is that what I need to type? See, what I was going to type before Gemini got all excited was, because this is a very fixed thing, yes, this is what I wanted to do. So now I think we can toList it. Yes. Okay, so we have the images. So now the question simply becomes, in this builder, if images at that position is null, then we bail. And that'll allow them to come in one at a time. Their positions will be calculated. and they'll render as each image appears. So this is going to be the old returnarino. Oh, whoops, I put that in the wrong spot. I think that's right. There we go. And now we say if this is null, don't do a sizebox.shrink. Let's do a spinny boy, circular progress indicator. And then, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so now you are, is null, yeah, that's right. So then these can all be, okay, I'm gonna read a little chat. Try not to commit anything that has non-zero compile errors. Well, this wasn't a compile error, it was a runtime error. But I knew that I had it, and I don't really remember why I committed it yesterday. Oh, you might have been responding to somebody else. 364, and I am honest. So I guess you know the problem is with me. I love that we're just kind of all, airing our faults, our imperfections. We're all supporting each other. This is great. This is what I love to see out of the Flutter community. Oh, a question. Why aren't we having nullable with required? Oh, this is such a good question. And then typed it again, I think without a typo. Great. That's a great question. And is debatable, but I do have kind of strong feelings about this. So at the top level of an API surface, I think it makes sense to have optional parameters where if they're just going to be null, you don't have to pass them. But then if you have kind of layered code within, at that point, I prefer to require that the parameter is passed, and I will explicitly pass null out of, like, for example, a state object. If it is null, that means that I can't simply forget to pass it, which will not be a compile error, but will be some manner of runtime error. So like once you get into inner code that is just kind of deep within the nesting doll of your architecture, I tend to favor making essentially every single parameter required, and then actually pass null if the value is null. Because again, if we think about where this came from, we're passing things from state. So like, I don't want to be allowed to forget this is essentially the deal. Like if images was optional, then I could forget it, and it's like, well, why does the screen not work? Obviously, you'll figure that out pretty quickly, but other times the bug can be more insidious. Okay, so I thought I changed this parameter. Why is it actually still even accepting images? Oh, because wait, didn't we name it a batch? Where did that happen? What is even going on in my life right now? Where did I change it to a batch? Didn't I do that? Well, thankfully there's video record of what is going on right now, which is helpful because, whoa. Guys, didn't I do that? Really confused. Okay, let's look at my... I wonder if I commands... Oh, no, here it is. Yeah, choose a thing. Where is this? Latte art field. Oh, it's one of the inner nested images. Okay. Or widgets. Why am I not getting like a red error? Oh, I am getting a red error. Okay. So, again, as per usual, the problem is that I am a moron. And that's great because we don't have a mystery anymore. All right, and I have to do the same issue here. This one is already in the correct. Oh, if images. Oh, wow. So in this one, I did think of it. Or is this what I just typed? No, I literally did just type this. What's going on down here? I think I just didn't scroll down far enough. I tell you what, development is not always a sexy affair. Sometimes it is just confusing yourself while people are watching, which is awesome. Okay, so the carousel, how does this one work? Yeah, you still, so I have to change this. It'll be fun when this works again, and then you can all see the screen. So this is going to be a latte image batch. That's how I spell batch. And we call this images batch, and then your images batch. Okay, so now there's more errors up top. That's good. So this will be images batch. Love it. What do we have here? Images batch.images. Image and index. What's your problem? Because that could be null. Right. Aha, this is the other place where I need to convert this into a function. So at the end of layout builder, we do this. And then now this is where we say if images batch.images index. Oh, I'm going to have to like cache this somewhere. Yeah, we're just going to say images. All right, that's good. Yeah, so you could be images now, and then we'll say if images equals null, and then this will be the old circular boy, circular progress indicator. So now you are no longer null, and you are no longer null. All right, almost done here. Except at the top level, this needs to also be images batch. Latte images batch. Images batch. I guess it should have been image batch because batch already applies to the plurality. Images batch is awkward sounding. One day I may change that. Okay, so this file now works, but of course we're not going to be passing that value correctly. So there's an error up here at choose an image. So images batch is going to be state.images batch, and then the state class will have to change for that. So this is the kiosks block. All right, let's talk a little bit about how I like to use the old block pattern. And you know, there's the old signals and there's the river pods, and they're all good. And I still like I like this system here. Okay. So, by the way, does anybody know that accent? When I talk like this, does anybody know where I'm from? The Americans in the audience Randall might know where that's from. It's kind of a corner of the American experiment. Sometimes, well, it's confusing, especially when people are watching. Yeah, I'm not exactly, I wouldn't submit footage from today to a job interview. I'll say that. Typing speed reduces to a crawl when people are watching. I have gotten past that, at least. I can type while people are watching, but it does get way harder. The keys like jump around. You know, it's like chasing a bunch of ants on your desk, and it is harder. Okay. So what I like to do, and this is different than how even Felix, the creator of Bloc, uses it. So like, obviously don't take this as gospel. But what I personally like to do is use a sealed class, and I use freezed for this, for the events. And then all the events are subtypes on this kind of main event. Now this is pretty similar to what is recommended in the Bloc documentation, if I recall correctly. It's just other than using freezed. So that's simple. I think freezed helps with this a lot, but you can, of course, get here without using freeze. Anyway, so like all the events in this wizard, forward navigation, backward navigation, jump to a specific spot for each step, kind of load data from the server, write data to the server, so all these different events, whatever, it's fine. And then the thing that I do that's kind of most different is just have a single state class. So this one actually doesn't even need to say sealed. This could say abstract. And that would do the same thing. But one state class, again, to rule them all. And it has all the fields that it needs, as opposed to having like a lot of different state classes that to me ends up creating kind of more edge cases and more, feels like there's more pins in the air and more kind of painful managing of the different state classes later on. And then these are just, different wizard things. Okay, so that is the event and the state class. And then up in the initialization function of Bloc, instead of having an on call for each type of event, I like to have a single on call for the parent type of event, and then switch on the object, and thus use exhaustiveness checking to make sure that you don't miss any events. So this to me feels really, really, really nice. You'd have to try to like screw something up in this setup. And then in all of the individual steps, let's see, I think this one, I think this is actually just like a data loading when this is not attached to an individual step. So often, so on milk update options, it's as simple as do a little state.copy with, you're good to go. An issue that you can have here is if, let's say, you have kind of transient errors that you need to clear periodically, then I'll definitely have helper functions on the state class to maybe clear errors so that I can consistently do that in different steps, as like there was a validation problem, but the user changed their data for that validation problem. So we need to get rid of the validation error so that if it's actually still invalid when the error returns, they'll know that it means something. And eventually you will like write to the server. So I have some examples of that. Oh yeah. So when we're ready to actually submit the user's milk and sweetener choice, it's as simple as use your repository, write to the server, update your state. After this comes back, you could do kind of optimistic updating, whatnot, but it's fast enough for my purposes generally. And then we move on to the next part of the wizard, blah, blah, blah. So this is how I personally like to handle state management. And it works nicely for me, and you don't have to do it, but I like it. The thing that you definitely should do is get all of your data management outside of your repository, outside of your Bloc by using a repository. Get it out of your Signal, get it out of your Riverpod provider, get it out of your everything, and put it in its own data layer. That's the most important thing you can do. Oh, this is an incredible question. How should I learn the Flutter engine for the purposes of contributing to it? Well, do you know C++? That's definitely number one. If you already know C++, then I would peruse engine tickets on the Flutter repo and start asking for, proposed solutions, or just ask like, can I take this ticket? Reach out, and I would not work on a ticket without getting kind of the blessing of someone on the engine team. What you do not want to do is work all week or all weekend on a solution and then find out that someone on the team was just about to push a very specific implementation that everyone has already agreed is definitely what they're going to go with for some reason. that would have been hard to predict from the outside, and then all your work is lost. So before you're going to contribute, and this probably goes with like every open source project in the world, definitely get a core maintainer to agree that yes, you are working on it and the implementation that you're proposing is good. And because another thing you don't want to do is land an implementation or push an implementation, create a PR that like is kind of plausible, but again, is just not going to be accepted for some upstream reason that again, like you would have had no way to know about, no way to predict. And the engine has lots of that kind of stuff because it's really finicky with all the different graphics layers and whatnot. That's a super good question though. And if you contribute to the engine, then amazing. Like I'm terrible at C++. I'll never have a line of code in the engine. Is the Flutter community moved to Bloc? You're still at Riverpod? Nah, don't change. If you like, if you're enjoying Riverpod and it's, you know, you feel in control of it, you feel like you are, you know, if you don't know that you're already shopping for a new thing, like don't change because someone else is using something else. Okay. Back at it. So the change that I need to make to the state class is to use a batch of images instead of a list of images. So images here needs to become a latte image batch. And this will be, now remember I was saying that it wouldn't be nullable at the widget. I may like already be kind of thinking that that is the most insane idea I've had in a long time. Because it certainly won't exist in the beginning, but I might be able to guarantee that it exists before we get to that widget. So yeah, maybe that'll hold. I think that was my thought. Okay, so I'm going to convert this to an image batch. I'll rerun the build script. And talk to Chan again. I have a stiff neck. I've had it for 2.5 days now. Like this side of my neck right here is just, oh God. Every now and then I turn my head the wrong way. Like, ah! But now I have shared my misery with you all. I literally faced this while contributing to the GenUI library and had to learn the hard way. And from someone on the Flutter team, you and someone on the Flutter team both worked on the same issue. My condolences, that stinks. Yep. There's not really any way around it, unfortunately. It's just really important as an outside contributor. Like, you're putting in your free time, you're putting in your Saturday mornings or your evenings or whatever. You could be, you know, playing video games or living your life. That effort, that contribution is so welcomed, but even that can't rise above the fact that it's like, oh, we already signed this to this person on the team. We all talked about it forever on how we wanted to do it. They're now done. We're going to go with their implementation. There's just nothing to be done. Okay, the build has completed. And we, of course, have some type errors to solve. Oh yeah, update latte images. Yeah, so here's some data error or some data things. So this is good. This is good. Yep. All right. So now it's time to think more about the data structure of this whole app. So I was talking with Noah yesterday, again, who's on the Flutter Firebase DevRel team, for anyone who doesn't know him. He's great. And he and I settled on, where's the latte order class? Let me remind myself what we even talked about. So we settled on this. Yes, image batch ID. So this is going to be set by the server. The structure here is that there's user modifiable data on an order, and those are the top level fields. So the user's name, the milk sweetener that they want in their happy place. And then there's this nested block of data called metadata. And that is a bunch of stuff that can only be modified by the server. It cannot be ever changed from the client. And so on the metadata, there's stuff like the order number, whether or not moderation has been successful, whatnot. And then we've got this active image batch ID. So this is going to be a record in Firebase that will indicate where in Firebase storage the 4 images are sitting that the user needs to currently look at and choose between. And then, yeah, right. So once one's picked, it goes here. Okay, I'm just remembering how this is supposed to work. It's been a whole 16 hours since I looked at this, so you can understand my confusion. Yeah, so this image batch ID is going to come down through the Firebase stream as we watch this document. So if I go back to the block, we can see where that is being watched. I hope. Yeah, where do I start watching the order? I don't even know if that happens yet. If not, now will be the time to on submit username. Yeah, so this is where it would need to happen. Oh, okay, cool. So let's think about this. I'm not even watching the order yet. So when the user submits their username, this is where we move into, we have an order now. So we create the new record, we save it to Firebase, and then we update the UI. But now we need to watch that record. So for this, I don't know if I want to do it in this function or somewhere else. I'm going to think about that later. But the raw code itself is going to be order repository.watch. And then I think I pass in, yes, the ID. So that'll be saved order.id. What's the issue here? Yeah, okay, so that's why I did this. So, oh, okay, apparently they both could be null. Okay, so watch should return a stream of latte order updates. That's great. So final order stream, good. And then we need to actually subscribe to this and manage the subscription and whatnot. So I'm going to put that in its own method because there may be in some scenario a different place from which we begin watching the stream. Yes, so this is going to be watch order, and we'll just pass in the whole order. And I guess I'll wait. I don't know if this is going to need to be a future or not. Okay, start with this. That's good. Thank you for that helpful bit. Anti-gravity opens a stream with Firebase to watch more changes to the order. All right, so we get the stream, we listen to the stream, and then we're going to have to say like order subscription, which probably doesn't exist yet. So we'll make that in a second. And at a minimum, we can't emit. We have to add a new event. So this will be add order, well, maybe I'll call it like server order update. I don't know. And we'll pass in the order. So we're going to add this event that doesn't exist yet. We certainly can't emit in this. That's not how Bloc works. So a couple changes that I have to make right now to tidy this up. Order subscription has to exist. Here we go. This is there we go. I tell you, anti-gravity has an extremely high hit rate for me on just I know what you were going to type. Also, I really stress things like, I want to alphabetize these three variables. So O would go in between M and S. But then I break up the latte options, which can go together, versus latte order. So then it's like, do I want coherent chunks like this, or do I want them alphabetized? It's a hard knock life for me. And then in my close method, we're going to end this subscription. Actually, I'm going to make this nullable and not late final. It is a different situation from the other two. So that one is going to be nullable. Okay. So now back in watch order. Oh, wait, why is watch order? Oh, because it's, yeah, no, it's, it's not null, my friends. Actually, I'll just make this nullable. That makes more sense because the server might, maybe the thing will be deleted. I don't know. If order does not equal null, I'll have to think about what I might need to do if it is null. Okay, so now I need this new event, server update, blah, blah, blah. So I'll go down to my class here and add it. I try to focus on like putting it in the right spot where it kind of makes sense in the flow of things, but I'll worry about that later. Latte order has been updated by the server. That's correct documentation. Submit the user's happy place. That's great. Okay, so we have this new type. I'm going to run the builder again, which involves there. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Love to see it. All right, we can get started in advance because it's going to force me to handle that up here. Whoops. There we go. That's what I want. Nope. Okay, now we come down. And this was under, yeah, I'll put it right here, I guess. Watch anti-gravity write it for me. That's really good. And this should work once the build is done. Cool. Oh, I needed to make that nullable. I'm going to have to run build again. It's like, why didn't I do it right the first time? Okay. Back to the old Chatterino. Ah. Hi. Hangul? Hangul? Is that right? Wait, Hangul. Isn't that just Korean? Does that say Korean in Korean? Am I remembering that right? Hangul. No, Hangul. No, it's Hangul. Oh, Hangul. Yeah, my Korean's not good. It's not Hangul, it's Hangul. Something. My pronunciation's also terrible. But hi. 안녕하세요. All right. What do we got now? Update latte images. Yeah, this is now the images batch. Images batch, did I? Oh, yeah. Okay, so that was the whole point of this. Watching the order was itself a detour from watching the images batch, which is going to change periodically as things are happening on the server. So now we're watching the order. So when image batch ID changes, we can fire off another event. So I'm going to have, I think, another repository here that is going to be, this is going to be list latte image. No, that's a little old world. Get with the program. Latte image batch. And that'll be the, I still call it the images subscription. That's fine. It will be nullable. That's good, 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 good. We're going to have, so this images repository, this is now going to be the image batch repository. So I'm going to have to change that. Okay, one thing at a time, Craig. So in the method where we are watching the order, I'm going to have a new helper method that is like on new order. And this is going to be probably future void on new like order from server, just to be really clear. And so this is going to get a latte order, which is nullable, but it's not called null. That would be a really bad variable name. And definitely going to do this. We know that's going to happen. But then we can also do things like if state.order.metadata.image batch ID. Oh, wow. No. Image batch ID does not equal order.meta. Oh, first of all, yeah, so if order does not equal null. This is obviously critical. So order.metadata.batch, image batch ID, there we go. Then, what's your problem? What are we even talking about here? Image batch ID can't be unconditionally accessed. Oh, yeah, it would be an error. Metadata is nullable simply because the client doesn't create it, but it should always be there when we come back from the server. If not, I should actually check for that because that would just cause the app to crash if there's a server error. Okay, so here, I didn't see what anti-gravity just proposed, but it was probably what I wanted. I'm going to watch image batch. Yeah. Watch image batch. And let's pass in. Yeah. There we go. That's good stuff. And then either way, whether or not the order is null, we're going to update the server orders. I could clear it out, conceivably. What are you mad about? Isn't referenced. Okay. That is fair. Indeed, this could be a tear off. Okay. Lovely. Okay, watch image batch needs to exist. So this is going to get a string image batch ID. This is great stuff. Now this is wrong. Boo, wrongity, wrong. This is better. Watch the image batch ID. That's good. So this is the images stream. And then we're going to listen and on update latte images. That's good, which we already have here. Oh, that's great. Except we're going to add an event instead of that. So this is going to be like the batch. And we're going to add the update latte images. And it's going to take the batch. And all right, this code's not close to compiling yet. So images stream doesn't return that yet because we also have to update the repository. Because this repository should be a latte image batch. This doesn't exist yet. What's your problem? Latte image batch can't be assigned. Oh, yeah, of course. But of course. Okay, now that doesn't exist yet. So if I go to dependency injection, where get it is setting up all my stuff for me, a latte image batch. There we go. That's important. So I'll click into this and we'll change you around. Latte image batch.bindings. That's good. All right. So here is where I was hard coding some old Datarino. This is extremely exciting. So this will just become set item, and this is going to be a latte image batch with an ID of I don't know. Yeah, okay. There's things we're going to have to do about this. And then this is going to become image 1. I don't actually know if I like this image 1, image 2 thing. Maybe it should be a list. I may be doing something really silly. I don't think so, though. I think this is actually correct, even though it seems weird. All right, so I'm still missing what? Yes, the order ID, and this is going to be the problem that I have because I'm hard coding some data, but I'm going to have to like remove the filter from this, I think. Oh yeah, and you need to be a string. Image 1, what? Expected to, oh, there's no comma. All right, we'll talk about this repository in a minute. This is my own library, data layer. Then none of the code that we're looking at here really likely makes any sense. Stick with me, folks. For better or worse. One day this code will compile again. All right, so I have a Latte image repository. I have the images subscription. I should probably call this batch subscription, image batch subscription. Okay. Okay. So now in the code place where we watch images, first of all, we have to cancel the old thing. Also, I need to cancel anything that lives still in the close method. But yeah, so here we close an original one. And then get a new stream, listen to the stream. All right, what's the problem here? Wait, the nullability is like in the wrong error, in the wrong spot. What? So, images stream. What are you? Latte image batch. No, yeah, this won't be null. That's okay. So it's the wrong type. Will it be null? I can't remember how this works. Watch returns a stream of T, not T question mark. Okay, where was I? Yeah, okay, so images stream. What's the deal here? What are you? Why is it null? Interesting. So these watch streams, oh yeah, all the other ones are null. Okay then. All right, there we go. So now the batch, update Latte images. This probably still takes a list of images. Yep. Let's make it a nullable batch. Latte image batch. What a fun refactor this has been. Randall, you'd be happy. I have had a lot of success in this project with anti-gravity. It has written a fair amount of the crazy code for me, specifically the animation as you move from one step to the next and like the items kind of fly off. That's been cool. And anti-gravity wrote that. And actually, that would have taken me a long time to figure out. It was what it cooked up. It was pretty complicated. Ooh, okay. Oh, we got some more Korean going down. Oh, yeah. Onyeon Haseo. First time watching Observable Flutter live. Okay, what does that say? Taebak? Taebak? I don't know what that word means. But thanks for joining. Okay, beginner question. Why didn't you use MVVM for this project? How do you usually decide between that block and other architectures in Flutter? All right, my hot take here is that they are all the same. I think MVVM is like what they all are. So I would say that I am functionally using MVVM here, though the names have been changed to protect the innocent in terms of the different components. But to me, all state management amounts to something on the front end, collecting user input, then some method, some mechanism by which you have to translate user input into a distinct intention of how you may modify user state. So in the block world, that is just adding an event to the block. So you see that a lot in like a gesture detector is on tap listener. You're going to add a certain event to the block. So now I've translated user intent into a distinct, concrete intention to modify my application state. Then something needs to receive that intention. And in Redux world, coming from JavaScript and React, that's called a reducer, simply because it's actually, that's just what it is. Like in terms of map reduce, it's the reduce part of that. So that thing accepts a function accepts the intent of how the thing should change and basically triages or routes that intention to the correct function to handle that intention. So the routing is obviously happening up here in the block paradigm. And then the actual intention is realized in these different handler functions. And then, of course, to close the loop, once your state has been modified, the UI needs to update. And that is merely a function of something calling setState. And most of the state management solutions hide that from you. They call setState themselves after you do some other song and dance. So to me, state management is like always that pattern. And there's different ways to abstract it. There's different guardrails that packages will put up to help you not make mistakes, to help you not forget to do some of the things you have to do to close that loop for every single interaction that your users can take. And unless you're in like a really, really different world, they're kind of like all MVVM. But so I'd say that I am functionally doing it using MVVM. Scrolling down. Randall continuing to do the Lord's work and answering other people's questions. What IDE? Yes, this is anti-gravity. Looks a lot like VS Code, but for the anti-gravity logo down here, which you can see right there. All right, so this, Omar, you said this several minutes ago. I don't know if the rant that I went on after you put this in chat kind of clarified anything, but let me know. I mean, I'd certainly be happy to kind of talk about this more. I don't know that everyone agrees with me that they're all the same things, by the way. I think most state management package authors disagree. But this is still how I feel about it. Like, if I were to convert all of this code to Riverpod, and I think it might be, it would be a bigger transformation to signals, because that is a kind of, actually, I'm not sure about that, because I have had Rody on here to talk about signals, but I would have to spend a lot more time getting good at it. But if I were to convert, I'd have to get better at it to make the following statements one way or the other about signals. But if I were to convert all of this to Riverpod, I think that all, like, the names of classes would change. The positions of like where intention is turned into action would change, but you just see all the same pieces. You know, instead of adding an event to a block, you actually just like call the provider's function. So there's kind of a translation layer there that is removed if you use Riverpod. But then you kind of get in, you just go like directly into this function. It doesn't have an underscore in it. And in that function, you still modify your state. And instead of calling emit, you just set the state property on the provider. But like the thing that was relevant was this. Like, this is all that mattered in the whole thing. What changed about the application because the user did whatever. And everything else, to me, is just kind of fungible guardrails to not forget to do this thing that I'm highlighting on the screen right now. And for all of these functions, the insides of them would remain the same, except I wouldn't press the names would change. So again, it's you say state equals state.copywith or something like that instead of passing that value to emit. And like, what does emit do? Boy, does it also set the state property on the block. So I just feel like they're kind of all the same and they are all MVVM. That's my opinion. Oh, we're getting some explanations of what Korean words means. And apparently I pronounced it close enough that it was recognized as the word. The 400-day streak on Duolingo. Doing something for me. I don't know how much, but... Okay, continuing to scroll down. A lot of good chats. Randall, essentially the honorary streamer. I should put his name on the credits, answering so many questions. Okay, I think I'm basically caught up. There's healthy debate about different levels of boilerplate, and that is appropriate. Okay, so what the heck was I working on before that? Okay. So the update latte images event now was a thing that deals with the batch. That's great. So let's follow the red squiggly road here. So load images. I don't think I actually need to call. This method doesn't even need to exist anymore, I'm quite sure. Yeah, I don't think I need this anymore because we're just going to be watching that now kind of natively. And then the images batch. Oh, yeah, it was still just called images because I didn't. No, what? Oh, it's called batch. I really got to figure out my naming convention here. Okay. So I only have this print statement in here. Now, this isn't going to work. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? Oh, it could work. Yeah. Because I used to have a filter, but now there's no filter. So let me walk folks through this. We're not going to have time, or I don't think it'll be valuable to look at the old way, the filter way. But there's now just a batch ID. And the batch itself redundantly points back to the order with the order ID field, which means I should probably just delete that. Unless we want it later to calculate the average amount of batches that users created. So I won't delete it. But actually probably wouldn't need that. Anyway, whatever. Image batch ID exists here. And so now in the block, we grab the batch ID and we watch that document. So basically, I just need to kind of hard code the value 1 somewhere because in the image batch ID that I set, so I'm just kind of hard coding some data in the latte images repository by calling this write method. And so I set up an image batch, and these are just random images that I made with Nano Banana, of course. And then I'm writing this. I need to write the, oh yeah, okay, this is different. Yeah, so this is going to need to be a local, right? Oops. And now I do need a Firebase source for this. So you don't get this. Surely you do. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, yeah. Okay. So anyway, then we say get it. Firebase Firestore. We have to import that. Will you help me import it? Thank you. And we have to import get it now, don't we? Okay. All right. Oh no, that watch isn't going to work at all. The fact that I'm hard coding this data is completely irrelevant. So I'm just going to completely comment it out. So the reason that this isn't going to work is the way these repositories work is it's kind of a write-through cache. So you put your remote sources at the bottom, and that's where you read from. And then you've got your local sources up top that you cache to. But watching is a remote-only operation because it doesn't make sense to watch local data. You already have the local data. If you're watching for changes, you want to watch from the server. So this Firestore source is what we watch, and that means that that watching stream will never emit this just sitting here hard-coded local data. So I will have to put this data in the server for it to exist. That is a little sad. Oh, you know what I could do is actually just write this data. So actually, I don't need any of those things. And let's make this, yeah, no, that's fine. We're just writing into the server now. Ooh. Okay, so I'm just gonna, maybe this will work. I don't even know. Oh, there's other problems too. The Firebase function to add the metadata doesn't exist either. Noe, I think Noe is working on that probably today, right now. But I am not aware of it being in place. I wonder if I could add something myself, except I would literally risk the possibility of trampling his work, which would be better because he's doing it for real, and I would be hacking it together on this here stream. What am I doing? Orders. Unfortunately, again, as mentioned earlier, this code is still in Node because the Dart support is being worked on as we speak. Actually, I don't know what the Swedes that are working on it are doing right now. They might be enjoying a coffee. But it's being worked on in the general sense right now, and there's stuff happening here. Noe wrote all this, and I barely understand what's going on. He did some kind of crazy stuff that's cool. But at some point, like at the bottom of this method, we would add the metadata to, I think I'll just add a metadata object. I don't know. I may be kind of getting to the end of this particular line of development. I remember why I stopped working on this last night is that I was needing some server-side functionality that doesn't exist. So yeah, I think I'll talk about some other aspects of this, but this code base, but I'm not going to be able to get this working in like a satisfying way that isn't just leaving hard-coded stuff all over. Is the Figma design classified? Wondering to build it this weekend for fun. Could I get the design? Thanks. I probably can't. I think I would make some people pretty annoyed if I were to hand that out. That is a reasonable request for you to have made, but I don't think I can hand that out. Don't want to scoop the demo, so to speak, you know? Is your day job simply writing code, writing sample code? No, but it has been recently. For this demo, I've been working on this pretty much, if I'm not in a meeting being distracted from this, then I've been working on this for the last month plus. I was out of town for a little bit in the middle, so it's probably like 4 weeks of actual work time has gone into this pretty much uninterrupted, except when I'm being interrupted, as previously stated. Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to talk about that have been really interesting, and I would love feedback from you all on how you deal with these things. So let's talk about the design. Oops, where did it go? So the design agency gave us this, and this is the landscape orientation that is in the Figma file. And then if I shrink this down, eventually we'll get to the portrait orientation that is in the Figma design. But you know what isn't in the Figma design? Anything in between. So like what happens when it's kind of like a square orientation? Like the concept that we have in a pure landscape doesn't really work as well when it's a square, because like either these things have to shrink to maintain their aspect ratio, and then you have huge empty bars above and below, or they just get cartoonishly tall and skinny and they look like, you know, Greco-Roman columns to maintain that height and not have boundaries. And then, you know, you kind of tip as soon as you, or borders, as soon as you tip into this, you know, maybe it's like it was designed to look just right on the perfect phone aspect ratio, but like when you're just inside square, like, I don't know, maybe it's fine, maybe it's not. Anyway, also the code to sort out how these things should work has been, you know, pretty involved. So like here, I'm just kind of shrinking this down a little bit as I'm, as it kind of, I want to maintain an aspect ratio, but then once there's not enough space for that aspect ratio's height, like, you know, shrink it down, and then again, obviously set a breakpoint and maintain the aspect ratio as much as I can while before it's squished. And then you can see here, aspect ratio still maintained. And then there's other thing. Oh, I have to give a name here, don't I? So like this one has more things, and so then in mobile, it's a carousel as opposed to up here when it's not a carousel. So there's just been a lot of code that I have. There is some use of wrap, but wrap has not been. It's a little more involved. These buttons down here are wrapped, that's for sure. That is how, you can see it for a second there, yeah, before it switched. So these are wrapped. Anyway, so I've worked on this widget. And so there's two different things here. I've got the responsive sized box, which I was thinking of renaming to responsively sized box, which sounds like responsibly sized box, which is just funny. Anyway, so this is a widget that sizes itself based on available space and the range of acceptable aspect ratios. Because as I have been working on this, you know, again, in the Figma documentation, there's like a perfect landscape version of the widget, which in this case is like a taller widget. And then there's a perfect portrait version of the widget, which sometimes, depending on the thing, is like shorter. So you could also stack these two, and then they would be kind of flatter. And no aspect ratios in between, but like presumably aspect ratios in between like could work depending on the situation, depending on the aspect ratio of the parent and whatnot. And so a way that I've been coding up a lot of these widgets is internally I have this responsive sized box, and its job is to accept what I'm calling kind of like the API design of this isn't actually that good yet, but I'm calling this the aspect ratio clamp, which is defined up here. It's the range of allowed aspect ratios where sizing is simply based on the primary dimension. Actually, I think this part is not true anymore and didn't even make any sense. As I was reading that aloud, I was like, what the hell does that mean? So the idea here is that we've got a lowest possible aspect ratio, which would mean like the tallest that the widget can be. In the middle is the ideal aspect ratio that will always be picked if it's supplied and if it's like possible. Actually, if it's supplied, it'll just basically be picked. And then an upper aspect ratio that is like the So this would be the widest that the widget can possibly be. Because again, looking at these cards, their aspect ratio is just changing as I'm moving things around, but I've settled on tallest possible before they start to look really silly, and widest possible before they start to look really silly. So that is captured by passing in, a null value for the middle. It's like I actually am not picking an ideal. That's fine. But I am picking a minimum aspect ratio, so tallest, and a highest aspect ratio, widest that is possible. And then the responsive sized box uses how does it work? Probably a layout builder. Yeah, everything uses a layout builder to calculate like which ones we're going to go with here. And then it just uses the builder, blah, 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 sizes things, aligns them, like centers it within the space, and we're good to go. So that is, this aspect ratio scaler is kind of doing the math of figuring out, okay, what will our aspect ratio be based on the values that were passed in the space that we actually have, the constraints that we actually have. So, okay, so this is a thing, responsive sized box. Now, there's another widget that I'm calling the layout provider, which, this one doesn't even, there's some other widget I'm using that combines these two. Oh yeah, the layout information. What does this do again? Oh, this is just like helper information. It's like a more sophisticated version of box constraints. Actually, I don't know that it's more sophisticated. It just has the extra things that I want. So when I want to make a responsive widget, so like I have this button down here that says next. This button has like aspect ratios that it can be, like can grow a little bit, and then it needs to switch to this, and this has its own aspect ratio as well. Those are just custom painters. So in the chevron button, there is, all the way at the bottom, I use a layout provider, which is just like a glorified layout builder, and I get the glorified constraints. And then that's where I'll kind of check which thing do I want to use, have a breakpoint and figure out what side of the various amount of breakpoints I have that I'm on. And then I use the responsive size box thing, and I'll pass in. So this button actually, now I'm looking at it, we can see it just has the ideal aspect ratio and is not allowed to be any other aspect ratios. Other widgets are different. And then ultimately have like a builder in here, or I'm just kind of calculating the size of everything, scaling down text. Because again, in Figma, it's like, all right, we've designed this button for you, and it's 300 pixels tall by 100 pixels wide, and it's this chevron button here. So yeah, 300 tall, 100 wide, whatever the values actually are. Good day, UI engineer. And it's like, okay, well that's cool, but like maybe that is not gonna work at like certain points. Maybe I need to shrink it at some point. And you can see the button there isn't shrinking, but these cards are shrinking all the time. So let me go to the card, configuration card. Oh yeah, and then I've used this responsive paragraph value. All right, I don't know. Layout builder, layout provider. Oh, this is so funny. I coded this first before I made the responsive sized box, and like this was where I worked out the math that went into the responsive sized box, but I apparently never came back and converted this. I'm not a smart man. Anyway, this is like the kind of stuff that I've been working on a lot, and am curious how you all handle these types of problems. So Randall is actually just giving an answer right here. Have I looked into package Boxy? It's the ultimate layout assist. No, but I will right now. Package pub.dev. Packages Boxy. All right, here we are. Layout made simple. Ooh, okay. Let's look at what we've got. Okay, so flex layouts. A common design problem is you need one or more children of a row or column to have the same cross-axis alignment as other children on the list. With Boxy, you can use this with Boxy row, Boxy column, and dominant. Wait, what? Common design problem is when you need one or more children of a row or column to have the same cross-axis size. Oh, yeah, okay, so this is like intrinsic height. Yeah. Yes, makes sense. Okay. Inverse situation. Okay, got it. Override cross-axis alignment. Oh, okay. This is... I didn't need this in this particular thing, but I can see that this would be kind of tricky to get. Oh, interesting. I wonder if they're just kind of wrapping in like an inner... Whoops. Whoa, what did I do? What is this Chrome feature? I don't want it. No, thanks. Hard no. No, it stayed. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so like to get this foo widget all the way to the left, oh, that's interesting. You have to wrap it in a thing anyway. If you didn't have Boxy, you would wrap this in like its own flex, and you'd give that an expanded, and then you'd, give that a, I feel like you'd write almost the same amount of code. Wow, I keep thinking this is code that I can highlight, but it's an image that I drag around, and that's how I got in trouble. Okay, custom layouts. Ooh, this is nice. One of the pains of implementing custom layouts is learning the render object model and how verbose it is. Okay, that is not wrong. So I would just use a stack for this. But there's like, can certainly be tricky things about that. So let's see, how does this work here? So implement the delegate. Could you not do this with a stack? I'm curious. Well, Randall, don't worry. This is probably going to be, this Boxy and layout detour is like the end of the stream today. Oh, get the author on, sure. Yeah, because if the author was here right now, I would say, can you do this with a stack? I'm not sure. So in this layout method of the Boxy delegate, okay, so I see we've got delegate there, my Boxy, so that's the class on the right, custom Boxy, okay. So in layout, we get get child. Okay, so it's going to grab these different widgets, and then, or maybe like delegates for them. It might not be getting the widgets, it might be getting the delegates. And then we call layout on those things. So that's interesting. It feels like the code in there is like also something that we would be caring about here. Content position, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, interesting. I'm pretty curious about like what the equivalent stack code would look like, which I've said 8 times now, so I'll stop saying that. All right, most powerful feature of custom Boxy is the ability to inflate arbitrary widgets at layout time. This means widgets can depend on the size of others, something previously impossible without hacky workarounds. All right, so this is like doing a lot of... Oh, interesting. Yeah. I would love to see the implementation of this. I think I do want to have this author on. Tutorial is about 10 pages. Okay, so I'm going to be here a while is what you're saying? Well, I'm kind of at the bottom. Oh, but this isn't the tutorial. I see. You're saying that I should just go through the tutorial, which is separate from this, also separately from right now. That's fair. This is cool. I didn't know about Boxy, but I do now, and I'm going to look into it. And, yeah. All right. Well, folks, that is going to probably do it for today, because I have run into a part where I would have to do a kind of painful amount of hard coding of data to get the next part of the app to work. For these images to load, I did get rid of the red screen with that one refactor about handling the null cases, but now just nothing is there. Well, that was a nice burp. I think that's the first time I've burped on Observable Flutter. Very exciting. Oh no, I still have a red screen if I go into the wide layout. All right, whatever. I'll worry about that later. The only, I would have to leave so many really annoying hard-coded things somewhere to get this to work that I just don't think it's worth it. I'm going to actually wait on the real functions that actually talk to Nano Banana and put some images in Firebase storage. And then this can continue, but this is the demo that should be at Cloud Next and Google I/O. And I haven't asked about I/O Connect yet, but I'm going to do that today. And they're probably going to say no, because I think it's kind of an expensive demo to build and staff and run at a place, but I'm going to ask anyway. Maybe it'll be at I/O Connect in Berlin, and I forget all of the locations this year. Probably Bengaluru, because that's where it's been for the last several years. But hopefully, folks on the stream will get to play with this in person. We'll be able to describe a happy place, negotiate its details with Nano Banana. We didn't even get to that part yet. And then have a custom image on your latte. Next to the whole flow where you actually get coffee is going to be some laptops that have the code set up, and you can change the app. You can like experiment with refactoring the app in person using anti-gravity to like, oh, I want to, do such and such, and introduce certain modifications to the app. That'll be disconnected from actually getting a coffee. So it's just kind of like an anti-gravity sandbox where you're starting with this code base. But anyway, I think it's going to be a pretty cool demo, and I hope a lot of you are able to see it in the flesh. But that will do it for today, folks. Yeah, historic moment. We all aspire to one day burp on live television. That is peak living. Okay, folks, thank you so much for joining today. It was really great having you keep me company while I do my day job. I'm going to go message Noe and see how those functions are coming along, and see if I can actually get a latte image batch to render. But until then, folks, am I here next week? I think I'm here next week. I think I'll be streaming again. So I believe I will see you next week. And until then, happy fluttering.